Good morning and welcome to Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where I was going to tell you that the Philly cheesesteak is really good, but you had something else there.
I tell you, the mushroom and Swiss is pretty good too, Dayon. I don't know. It's a close call. It could go either way.
Yeah, we could spend the entire segment debating the quality of these two subs, but instead we're going to take it to Pirates mini camp. I can't even wrap my head around it. Like, the Steelers just ended, and now all of a sudden you're flying down to Bradenton.
Yeah, it starts on Monday and runs through a Thursday morning. And, you know, I don't know if a whole lot will go on there, but it'll be interesting to catch up with some of the players who've had surgery, like Chris Archer, Gregory Polanco, obviously, with the major shoulder surgery.
If he comes,
If he comes.
It's more a pitcher's thing.
Yeah, so, you know, it'll be interesting. And I do think some of the hitters are going to be there because Rick Eckstein, the new hitting coach, and his assistant Jacob Cruz will be there and give him a chance to get acquainted a little bit.
That's actually, you're going to be, you've told me, that's going to be your main focus down there, isn't it?
Yeah,
those guys.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to Rick Eckstein a few days after he got hired back in November. He's an interesting guy, and you know, he has major league experience. He was a coach, hitting coach for the Nationals for 5 years, and you know, he went back the college route for a couple years. Went to his alma mater, University of Florida. Said he learned quite a bit. It was
I was going to say that could actually, that would
Yeah.
actually, I could see where that would, especially in baseball, where you take it back to its roots. And you know, I'm reminded of when Spin Williams told us many, many years ago that his job was going to be defined by how Oliver Perez does. Remember that? And sure enough, Spin was gone sooner rather than later.
Unfortunately,
Well, is the same true of Rick Eckstein and Josh Bell?
You know, I don't know if it's to quite that extent, but certainly it's going to play a big part in Rick Eckstein either being successful or not. Josh Bell, obviously, his home runs went from 26 as a rookie in 2017 down to 12 in 2018, and the Pirates are going to need more home runs from him to be successful. Yes.
You and I have spent enough time in locker rooms to know that there are players who do get treated specially, and obviously in the news this week has been the special treatment of one particular football player in town. But you know, with the Penguins, Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin are treated a little bit differently. We've seen it with the Pirates, you know, with Andrew McCutchen. Not that they abused it, though. Isn't that the difference here?
That is the difference. I mean, you have to earn that. I mean, you can't be a journeyman player. You can't be a hotshot rookie that's had 2 good months. You have to be a veteran guy that's earned it year in and year out and have to gain that respect. And like you said, once you get that kind of respect, kind of leeway, you shouldn't abuse it.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened in this case.
Yeah, and the funny thing is it relates to, we are talking about Antonio Brown, by the way. We could have made that more obvious. The funny thing about AB is that the area where that usually gets abused, those kinds of privileges, is, you know, half-hearting it through this drill or that drill. He's an insane workaholic.
Yeah.
He just finds different ways to abuse it.
I was in training camp one day this summer, and I was amazed, even in the drills that he wasn't in when they were scrimmaging and they had the second team in, he's still off to the side working on catching the ball all the time. And I mean, for a guy of his accomplishments, I mean, I would think he's got a really good chance to go to the Hall of Fame. I was very impressed by his work ethic.
Never stops.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yet now he just doesn't return phone calls, and it's weird.
Well, that leads me into the last thing I was going to ask about this, and that is how, again, we're not talking about even necessarily the Steelers here, but how in that situation do you expect that guy to go back into that locker room?
Well, I think it's hard. I think, you know, reading what you wrote, Dale Lawley, Hunter Honisick, Chris Carter, I mean, guys are mad, and I don't blame them. I'd be mad too if I were on that team and our best player, even though he didn't get the MVP award, he's still their best player, whether he you know. And he, you know, I don't know how you welcome him back and go, hey, thanks for bailing on us before a must-win game.
Must-win game. I mean, there's not a discussion to be had. This isn't one of those like, all right, fellas, let's get around the table here and let's talk it out.
No.
There's nothing you can say if you're AB to say, well, you know what, here's what I was going through that weekend. You just don't understand what I was going. No, you got no use for it.
You know, it's not like the telemarketer was calling him. It was Mike Tomlin. I'm sure on the caller ID it said Mike Tomlin. So I would think he would know who it was calling and not just let it kick the voicemail and not answer back.
Even then, when he decides, you know what, I feel like playing today, he has Drew Rosenhaus make the phone call.
That's just amazing. It's amazing to me. I would love to understand what was going through his head.
I'm not sure that I do want to understand. I'm not sure.
All right, Dale. Steelers are in the playoffs, so that means we get to talk about 4 different matchups this weekend in the wild card. Let's start off with the NFC. What are you expecting? We're talking Seahawks, Cowboys. Cowboys hosting after they've won the NFC East. Strong season somewhat, but the Seahawks are a team that I think can stop the run with the way that they've been playing ball this year.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are the more complete team.
Right.
I think Russell Wilson's obviously a better quarterback.
Wilson, Dak.
Yeah, than Dak Prescott. I think the Seahawks go in there and win this football game.
I agree with you. They're a good road team, and they've been tested. I also just like the makeup of what they've been able to do this year with the running backs.
Dallas's defense is tough, though.
That is a tough unit, and that's what Leighton Vander Esch. We said it during the summer. That guy was going to be special. But let's go to the other NFC matchup. A little more interesting. NFC East got the Eagles at the Bears. Eagles, Nick Foles is back, and he's doing his Nick Foles
This
things.
is the biggest spread of the weekend.
Yeah. What's the spread?
The Bears are favored by 5.5, I believe. And while I really like the Bears and I like that defense,
They're a tough team.
This is going to be a little tougher than I think people were imagining, because this is Mitch Trubisky's maiden voyage into the playoffs.
Yes.
And so you never know what you're going to get out of that. And because of that, I mean, they don't throw the ball particularly well. Mm-hmm. So that's what the Eagles don't defend well.
Right, their quarterbacks are gone.
They've been better than in recent weeks than they have before in the previous part of the season. But I think the Bears find a way to win this game at home. I think their defense is special.
It was the leading defense in the league. Turnovers, Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith. I mean, just all aboard. That defense is fun to watch. I've been watching them, and I'm like, ooh, that's man, the stuff that they do. But let's go to the AFC, the games that people are going to be talking about more in Pittsburgh. Let's start with the AFC South rematch. Colts at Texans, the rematch. But Colts, Andrew Luck, they were red hot. They really made a strong push towards the end of the season. Texans, a team that's they've won a lot of games, but people
kind of stumbled into the postseason.
Exactly. Do you think that Andrew Luck and the way that the Colts defense has played as of late, do you think that they can make the push and win in Houston?
I absolutely do. In fact, I'm going to pick them to win that football game. They're a much hotter team. They kind of had to ride the wave into the playoffs, win their final game to get in. Mm-hmm. They came back against the Giants to also get in. If they don't do that, the Steelers are in the playoffs right now.
And that's what's so crazy. I'm like, what has just happened here? But I mean, you look at them. I like Darius Leonard. I like the way that the boost that he's brought to the defense. Who would have thought Mike Mitchell might be?
Mitchell's in the postseason, and the Steelers
and the
have not.
Steelers are not. I know he's probably sitting somewhere. And you're like, But okay. That aside, I agree with you. I think the Colts are a tough team, and I think that they're going to provide enough problems for the Texans for too many for them to overcome. But let's talk about the big matchup that everyone's going to be talking about in Pittsburgh, of course. Chargers at the Ravens. Ravens beat the senses out of the Chargers in Los Angeles just a few weeks ago. Now the Chargers looking for some payback. Do you think the Chargers can mount that in Baltimore? Phillip Rivers, this has been my knock on him all the time. He has great numbers. I think he makes some great reads, and he's a really, really good competitor. But in the big moments, he has just fallen flat so many times for that organization. Do you think that stops this weekend?
I think it does. Actually,
really think
I think they're kind of I think they're my pick out of the AFC to go to the Super Bowl.
You have them in the Super Bowl.
I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Here's why.
Why? What's up?
The Ravens are a difficult team to prepare for on a short week.
Yeah.
Or a regular week. Or a regular week, for that matter. Because what they do is so different than what everybody else does in terms of what you see in the NFL. But given that they just prepared for it a couple of weeks ago, this is all going to be familiar for the Chargers, and I think the Chargers are the more talented team. Even in that game, it finished 20-12.
Yeah.
They didn't blow them out. The Ravens aren't going to blow anybody out. And so I think the Chargers, having already faced this, will be much more ready for it this time.
What do you think of the whole Eric Weddle knew the Chargers offense too? That was the narrative I heard all after that game.
Eric Weddle hasn't played for the Chargers in 4 years.
Right, and that's my thing. Is I don't think it was that. I think that the Chargers might have been off. My thing is it hinges on Phillip Rivers. If he can come in and he can direct the offense and see through what the Ravens are bringing and take away their aggressive pressure, the Chargers will stand a chance. If he doesn't, I think that Lamar Jackson will do just enough with the option and the things he's able to do to put them over the top. But it hinges on Phillip Rivers.